Live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In our headlines, you have chosen experience with vision over try me and experiment. John Mahama tells NDC delegate as he thanks them for voting him their flag bearer for the 2024 presidential election. Also, Office of the Special Prosecutor opens investigations into allegations of inducement and bribery in the just-ended NDC presidential and parliamentary primaries as an alleged 40 cedis transport support provided by former President Mahama to a delegate gets into focus. Same script, different date. Part of Accra got flooded after Monday morning downpour. You have chosen experience with vision over try me and experiment. These are the words of John Dramani Mahama in his acceptance speech as flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress for the 2024 presidential elections. Addressing supporters in Tamale, he pledged to lead the party into a resounding victory in the 2024 general elections.
You have chosen experience with vision over experiment, and I'm confident that in December 2024, Ghanaians will make that choice that puts us back on the path of building the Ghana we want together. We must flip the coin from competition to cooperation. We need cooperation to build a better Ghana and a better NDC. I'm therefore calling for cooperation among all elected parliamentary candidates and your aspirants and supporters. We must win the election to enable us build the Ghana we want together. I pledge to lead you to a resounding victory come December 2024.
On unity, he emphasized the need for all party members to remain a family to, quote, build the Ghana we want, end quote. Now, Mr. Mahama called on members of parliament who lost their candidacy to lend experience and talent to the party.
On your behalf and on my own behalf, acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Kwabena Dufo, former mayor of Kumasi, Kojo Bonsu, and Mr. Ernest Kobia, for what they have done towards enhancing the internal democratic systems of our party. Incumbent members of parliament who lost their primaries must also keep their heads up. You remain heroes for the good job you have done and continue to do. We need your experience and talents for the honors job that faces us when the good people of Ghana give us a mandate to steer the affairs of this country once more. Above all, we need you in the remaining 1.5 years of your parliamentary mandate to carry out your duties in Parliament with dedication and commitment to safeguard the interests of the Ghanaian people. And I wish to assure you that I intend to meet with these MPs at the earliest possible opportunity. I wish to assure you that you are still assets of the party, and we shall make use of the talents and experience that you have garnered. The party needs you and will continue to rely on you as we seek to win election 2024 and change the destiny of the suffering people of Ghana. We must remain one solid family.
On the economy, John Mahama, among other things, pledged to restore the licenses of institutions that were affected by the financial sector cleanup.
We will restore indigenous Ghanaian investment in the financing and banking sector. And we will create a tiered banking system that will serve various segments of the market. We will give the opportunity for experienced banking hands who were laid off and needlessly to secure their careers once more and move away from the menial jobs that they were compelled to take. As far as practicable, the banking licenses that were unjustly cancelled by this government will be restored. We will restore stability and inclusive growth in the economy, and we shall rejuvenate the almost collapsed banks and the financial sector. And this will involve sweeping reforms at the Bank of Ghana, because the central bank itself has been a part of creating this problem. I'll create the foundation that will ensure that Ghana will never suffer such a deadly debt management program that threatens to send our elderly people holding government bonds to an early grave and wipe out the investments of the Ghanaian middle class. I'll prioritize local participation in the banking, financial, telecoms, mining, oil and gas, agriculture, manufacturing and construction sectors to generate more jobs for our youth. The Ghanaian young men and women we interact with on a daily basis and their colleagues in other African countries are simply tired of the jobless GDP figures. We will actively attract viable and serious private sector investors to partner government to invest in the productive sectors of this country for more jobs to be created.
Well, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, meanwhile, says he remains a committed member of the NDC despite his disagreement with how the party managed the primaries. A statement issued by Dr. Dufo on Monday read, "I have become aware of some concerns from the rank and file of the NDC that I intend to leave the NDC to form another party. I wish to state that I have no such intentions and remain committed to the NDC as I have always been. The NDC is my home as it is for us all, and I will always remain loyal to our party. Let us come together towards the cause of victory for our party and progress for our nation. The NDC belongs to us, and we have a charge to keep its flame burning. So let us get to work." Now, when I joined the race for the flag bearership of the National Democratic Congress, I was motivated by a desire to see our party thrive as a political party of choice for every Ghanaian. Today, that motivation remains unchanged. Like many before me, I understand that the collective good for our party overrides our personal goals and desires. The internal contest of ideas we engage in is simply a means to a common end, to build upon the hard-won legacy we have come to meet. He again says, when I joined the race for the flag bearership of the NDC, I was, as Ghanaians' leading opposition party, the Ghanaian people are looking up to us to deliver the much-needed political change this country needs. This would require us to upscale our vigilance and insist that the right democratic processes are followed before and during the 2024 elections. It was in the spirit of this that I insisted that we address the challenges that were fraught with our voters' register and photo album, which resulted in my withdrawal from the presidential race. Now he says, if we are to succeed as a party in reaching our political goals, we cannot afford to compromise on our founding ideals of probity and accountability. Those virtues are the torch which guides our party and gives purpose to all we do. Without them, we will lose our identity and our ability to hold others accountable in similar circumstances. He again continued to say, as part of my contribution to the party's reorganization agenda, I launched the Ahoto project to strengthen our grassroots and ensure they are financially independent and can work effectively ahead of election 2024. I remain committed to the continuity of this project and look forward to more of such engagement with our party base. The story of the NDC is a story of ordinary people coming together to challenge broken systems of cronyisms. Now, he again says it is a story underscored by a movement of Ghanaians resolute in building a country where they could all belong. These origins cannot be taken for granted. In a time of widening inequality and economic despair, we must set the pace for our collective development. We are who we are because of the strength of our roots and must continue to build the NDC from the ground up. It is the key to our future and the engine of the Ghanaian dream. God bless the NDC and our nation, Ghana, and make her great and strong. The Setre Afam Plains continue to be one of the safe seats for the National Democratic Congress in the Ashanti region since its creation. We also understand that some minority MPs lost their seat in the primary. So we'll share with you details. But the question is, what will be the likely impact of this development where some 17 MPs have lost their candidatures, work in Parliament? Joining us to understand this dynamic, Dr. Rashid Dramani, Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, ACEPA, and Honorable Habib Idrisu, MP for Toulon and Deputy Majority Whip in Parliament. Let me start with you, the Deputy Majority Whip. Okay, so we'll come back to him, but Dr. Rashid Rahman is with us. Doc, first of all, your take on this development where we have 17 members of Parliament losing out on the just ended primaries.
Yes, certainly it's not a good development. We want to make sure that our democracy thrives on a number of MPs who have been in the House and have a lot of experience, in doing the legislative work over the years. But I mean, when you look at what has happened over the weekend, we have a number of experienced hands not likely to come to Parliament. I mean, normal as it is, because over the years we've seen this happen. So there is nothing really surprising about this. What is disturbing is I heard on your network earlier today a conversation that your colleagues had with the two former leaders of the minority bench, Honorable Haruna Idrisu and Honorable Muntaka Mubarak. And, from the voices, it appears that, the fallout from the leadership reshuffle a few months ago continues to follow the NDC. So that is quite disturbing, because one would have thought that after a number of months now, the party leadership and maybe the Council of Elders would have done a lot of work to bring the caucus together and ensure that there is unity. So now, if indeed what we heard is the case, the NDC has a problem. Given the tight numbers, and we know how difficult it has been anytime there is a crucial vote in Parliament, I think this is going to be perhaps maybe an advantage to the majority side of the House, because we are going to maybe see more defiance. We are going to see particularly those who feel they have been a target, perhaps not cooperating with the caucus, and so on and so forth. But I mean, most importantly, we perhaps might have to have a conversation as a country in terms of the timing of these parliamentary primaries, because we are 1.5 years to elections, and you already know, your comrades have been bringing to us every day the challenge of getting a quorum in the House. Now, these members who have lost, they are going to, one would predict that they are going to be disinterested in what happens in Parliament, because they are going to be thinking about their future, human beings as they are. So their attendance to Parliament might be affected. And then in the long run, their experience, of course, when we get to the 9th Parliament, will be lost.
Okay.
So there are so many problems that confront our democracy with this fallout.
Okay. I'll come back to you, but we've been joined also on the line by the Honorable Habib Idrisu, who is the Deputy Majority Chief Whip. So 17 of your colleagues, even before the end of this parliamentary term, know that they will not be there in the next Parliament. How does that come to you?
Expected, but not too surprised. A contest as it is, you expect that some will lose, but we never expected that they could be up to 17. But this is still a clear manifestation that all is still not good with the NDC. After they did their, if you like it, coup against their leadership, And it has actually manifested in the parliamentary primaries where many of them were hunted. For instance, if you look at Kobna Donko, you know that he was outspoken when the leadership was changed. And then he registered his displeasure. He gathered about 77 signatures to petition the National Council of Elders of the NDC. His relationship during the ministerial voting, everybody know that he's a very close pal to KT Hammer. And for him to lose is actually, but like Dr. Rashid was saying, it's going to affect the quality of work that will be done in Parliament. If you actually try to do a rough analysis of that, if you come to the Mines and Energy Committee, for instance, 4 of its key members have lost. Kobna Donko, a fine brain in the energy sector, is a member of the Mines and Energy, he lost. Dela Sowa, who is the deputy ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee, also lost. We have Bauer, who is also a member of the Mines and Energy Committee. But actually, even though it might play some advantage to we in the majority, but we cannot say that we are actually celebrating it because it's going to affect a lot of work and the quality of work. But we will also take advantage of the situation. But I wouldn't be surprised that independent candidates might spring up from these constituencies, because looking at actually what went in there, you will see that there was a clear undermining of the sitting MPs. You see that there was a clear sabotage of the sitting MPs. Okay. And you could see that it was a plan well executed to get some of them out.
Okay. Now, former President Mahama is asking the people who lost their seat to do their best in the remaining month to help Ghana. How realistic is this call, taking a cue from other instances when MPs have lost their candidatures before the election proper?
I think it is the call will suffer. It will be a difficult thing for it to be achieved. Yes, as a leader or flag bearer of the NDC, he has to make sure he talks to them to come together to move ahead. But these people, all any other, it's all about interest. People are paying, people are peeved, people have spent their monies, and with the 1.5 year left, if I'm one of them in their shoes, definitely I'll be looking at my retirement, but actually not be able to put more in there. 1.5 years to go. What will be in my mind is that how will I live? Because I know very well that I am leaving Parliament. And if I'm leaving Parliament, what else can I do? What else will I be able to do to contribute my quota to the development of the country? Many of them have hopes that if they were able to win, in an unlikely event that the NDC win in 2024, they might be considered for other things. So 70-60% of those chances are non-dash. So they need to look for a new leaf to move. But I'm very positive that at the end of the day, majority of the seats that they have sitting MPs lost will definitely suffer. Even if they are winning, the margins will either be reduced or we are coming after many of the seats. We'll snatch many of the seats from them.
All right, go for two. Now, let me return to Dr. Rashid. Doc, earlier you were talking about experience. There have been proposals for parties to consider protecting certain seats. What would be the thing that the parties must look out for in considering such instances to protect certain seats?
Well, I think the parties will look at experience. For instance, somebody like Dr. Kobna Donko, who has been in Parliament for long. I mean, he is an expert in the energy sector. He has been a minister in that sector and so on. Worth protecting. And somebody like Honorable Edward Bauer, as the whip has indicated, a lot of experience. He has been in the energy ministry and so on the energy committee. Worth protecting. Of course, I mean, parties cannot legislate. Parties cannot come out, I mean, plainly and boldly and say we are protecting this seat or that seat. But I think if they look at their legislative agenda, what they intend to achieve, perhaps some internal family conversations can take place to see which kind of gentleman arrangement can we come to and protect some experienced, MPs in the House, so that come the following elections, at least these seats are protected. For instance, I mean, it's very kind of not too pleasant to hear that, for instance, a majority leader in Parliament, his seat is being contested, is open to competition, the minority leader in parliament. In many places, these are seats that will be, fiercely protected by the party. Albeit, through their own internal arrangements. Because you come out boldly and try to do anything like that, somebody will take you to court and say this is undemocratic and so on. But, parties have found ways of doing that, in many jurisdictions. Because if parties can go after some MPs that they disagree with, I think in the same vein, they can find a way to protect some seats.
Okay.
But I think they have been good at doing the opposite, as we have seen over the years. But, sadly, our parties are not learning lessons because, as the whip has said, we are likely to see independence emerging. We are likely to see maybe the fronts of these parties divided. And then, of course, that will play to the advantage of the other side.
Okay.
Lessons abound in our country, but it looks like the parties, I think both NDC and MPP are not learning from history.
Okay, Doc. I'm grateful to you for joining us this evening on our news. Dr. Rashid Rahman there. Now, Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram in the Greater Accra region, Samuel George, is backing decision by the special prosecutor to investigate defeated MP aspirant for Ejra Sechere Dumase over a suspected case of corruption. Juliana Kenan Wasan, according to a letter intercepted by Joy News, is one of the persons of interest for the actions during the opposition party's presidential and parliamentary primaries on May 13. The MP aspirant who lost to the incumbent MP, Mohammed Bawa Brahima, seen in a viral video standing in a car showering cash on the people who flung her at the Ahmadiyya School Park, where voting was ongoing. And there's more in this report by Nana Boache Yadom.
Article 33, Clause 1 of the Representation of People Law 1992 provides that a person commits the offense of bribery if he or she makes a gift or provides something of value to a voter to induce the vote in a certain way. At the Ejra Sechere Dumase constituency, delegates rushed for cash as parliamentary aspirant Juliana Kenan Wasan shared money at the electoral grounds during her entry. Some delegates were seen receiving envelopes from agents of some candidates. Incumbent MP Bawa Brahima also shared knapsack spraying machines to delegates. This is a gift from Honorable Bawa Brahima. He said we should use it on our farms. We want to say a very big thank you to him, and we hope this primaries goes well for him as well. Communications officer of the NDC at the Ejra Sechere Dumase constituency, Abubakar Sadiq Osman, told Joy News candidates found culpable will face appropriate disciplinary action.
It's actually against the party rules. We have instructed all candidates to be mindful of their the things they do that go to undermine the quality of the process we kind of have here. So where we are now, I'm sure it will be very difficult for you to actually kind of impugn the person because we're going for a contest. Any move to kind of try to correct them now would look as if you're being biased towards the person. But I'm sure right after the primaries, the right process will be put in place to ensure that what she's done, I'm sure even if she's going to be rebuked, she might not do it again in any of the contests she might have to contest again. I know we have a disciplinary process in the party. I'm sure we'll take her through that disciplinary process. And once we're done, and it happens that the national party and the regional party actually, based on the recommendation of a committee that will be set up to investigate that she has done, I'm very sure the right process will be done. I can actually preempt what is it that may happen after that investigation and her conduct. So as we have it now, maybe we have to leave it here till when we're done with the primaries, and we'll see what next the party will take. The next step the party will take in ensuring that this does not repeat itself again in any of our elections ever in this constituency.
For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Aningo Pram MP Sam George welcomes the decision of the OSP.
I'm in no position to direct the national executives on what steps to take. I believe that we've elected national executives as a political party to take such decisions. I've been elected as a member of parliament to represent the party in parliament. I will take decisions on that as a member of parliament. When it comes to administrative decisions in the party, I think that the elected officers have that as their mandate.
I mean, you never shy away from expressing your opinion. What would your opinion be on whether this should be investigated?
Well, for me, the point I'm making is simple. It's their decision to make. But if anybody takes action that breaches our rules, be they as a party or the electoral rules of our country, it's only right that the necessary remedial or administrative steps are taken and actions are taken. And this should actually help us strengthen our vetting procedure and vetting processes and be careful about the kinds of persons who we even clear to contest. What are their motivations? What are their motives? And so I'm one who is a stickler for discipline, and I would maintain and insist that if anybody has fallen foul of our regulations, be they as a party or as the country, the right sanctions should apply.
Now, also of interest to the Office of the Special Prosecutor is the claims of inducement and conflict of interest leveled against former President John Mahama, who won the presidential primary. Mr. Mahama provided 40 city support to the over 3,000 delegates of the party for the weekend's Congress. Member of Parliament for Asawase in the Ashanti region, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, says weaknesses in the national leadership should be blamed for the anomaly.
And I'm not surprised. Those novices in Jura and other places will go spraying money. When I saw the video, I was so ashamed. And thank God she didn't win. Can you imagine she had sprayed this money and won? What would have been the division of the new division of NDC?
So what do you think of
somebody sharing rice, telling that I'm giving every delegate a bag of rice, and he's bold to say it openly.
So what do you think of Mr. John Mahama giving every delegate 40 Cs? Do you think that was also wrong?
Realistic, my brother. I believe that, yes, if the party had resources where the party has been taking dues, then each constituency will manage its own thing by providing food, by providing buses to convey the people and other things. Then the Roma will not need to send a dime to anybody. But the party is not strong enough to do that. Now, John Mahama wants delegates to be able to come and vote. If you don't give them the transport, someone says that, look, this morning, I'm ready not to go to work.
But does that not create an undue advantage for Mr. John Mahama as a candidate in the same election?
Yeah, you see the conflict of interest. Do you give the transport? Can that influence the person? If you don't give the transport, will they be able to convey the people there? So you are stuck up in a dilemma. But I must admit, we must do everything to take every person out of this game. So that people who are going.
Now, shocking development from the NDC primaries, with as much as 17 NDC members of parliament were unsuccessful in their quest to be retained as parliamentary candidate for their constituencies. This includes former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donko of Pro East and Alhaji A.B.A. Husseini of Sanarigu. Research and data analyst here joining us. Isaac Kofi joins me in studio with the breakdown. Now, Kofi, which region lost how many members of parliament?
Well, so if you look at the data, you can actually see that most of the MPs who lost their slot to contest for next election were actually from the northern region, where a lot of them lost their seats. But also in the southern part of Ghana, so we had some of the sitting MPs losing their slot. Actually, it is around 16 MPs who lost their seat, plus an MP, a former MP who came back to contest, so adding to make 17. So if you look at the total number of sitting MPs who lost their slot to contest again, they were actually 16. So let's look at, for instance, Dr. Kwabena Donkor lost his seat in the
Pro-East,
the Pro-East in
Bono
the
East region.
Also maybe part of the northern part of Ghana. So the next person on the Alhaji ABF Hussein also lost his seat, northern region again. Now let's check the next person, and this Alex. Adomako Mensah. This is where
so this is the
special situation.
So this is the Dufo uncle who was contested by his nephew. Okay. Etc. from Plains in the Ashanti region.
Now you know what happened in the Ashanti region. If you look at the total number of rejected ballots, most of them were coming from the Ashanti region.
Okay.
And the number of delegates who did not vote, if you should do per region and rank it, you see that most of them were from the Ashanti region. Ashanti region had about 61,000 or 60,000 delegates who were supposed to vote. Even in the presidential election, you had about 23,000 of them,
but didn't,
not turning up to vote at all. So,
again, then we should probably explain that the rejected ballot they included that of Dr.
Exactly.
So,
but even if you look at
maybe the Ashanti region,
it was just around, I think, a little over 4,000 or so, or 6,000. But looking at Ashanti region alone, the total number of delegates who did not come out to vote, over 23,000.
Okay.
That's huge.
That's where Dufo is coming from. Maybe when he withdrew, they also then decided not to. Anyway.
So next person, we have, 4 of them.
So Edward Bauer. Bongo, Upper East region.
Northern region.
Albert Akuka, Alazuga, Garu,
another
Upper East
region.
Okay, so not northern region, but northern part of the country.
Exactly, northern part of the country. That's
so these 4 are from the Upper East region.
Absolutely,
interesting.
Absolutely. Okay. So if we've actually sampled just about 9 of them, and I can say that about 5 or 6 of them are all from the northern part of the country. Next person is Edward,
Derry,
Lambuse,
Upper West region,
northern part of the country. So we can go on and on and on and talk about all of them. But one thing that stands out is that if you look at the data, most of them were from the northern part of the country. Maybe we need to collect additional data to know what is actually happening.
Right?
Yeah, Volta region.
Sowa Pando,
exactly.
Angela Foriwa Lowute, exactly. Afajato South, Kobla Mensa Woyome South Tong. All 3 in the Volta region. Interesting.
Let's check again. This is from
Augustine Teria,
Western North.
Okay. Well, and then Peter Kwachi. That's where Keche's wife won. So
Western region. So you know this area.
This is Memphis Central.
Exactly.
Wase Kropong.
Yeah.
That's where the lady went.
So there's actually a beautiful distribution already done with these pictures, and you see that. Even if you should do per region, a region from the northern region will actually lead this. Probably from the Upper East.
Upper East, They have 4.
Exactly, 4 of them. And if you, stratify the country into 2 northern and southern belt,
the northern will lead. Interesting. And this is Greater Accra. Christian Kolete Otu Te. That's Sege.
Exactly.
Greater Accra region. And you remember this woman? Sophia Akwakon. She's the MP for Obom Domiabra, but switched to contest in Ayawaso Central. And she said she was going to win the seat for the NDC, but she lost.
I actually don't know why she decided to cross carpets, but maybe she thought her chances there were great, but it turns out that she actually lost.
So that's the breakdown of the number of members of parliament who lost their candidatures in the just ended NDC primary. More of that on our website, myjoyonline.com. You're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Same script, different date. Part of Accra got flooded Monday morning, flowing downpour which lasted hours For residents in low-lying communities such as Glife in the Ablekuma West Municipality, the floodwater stagnated across the community, exposing especially children to danger. My colleague Carlos Caloni reports from Glife.
Now, the rain, which started a little over 6:30 a.m. Monday morning, as forecasted by the Ghana Meteorological Department, actually lasted well over 4 hours. Now, apart from impeding the movement of many commuters in the capital, houses and businesses sited in low-lying areas in Accra, like Glife and its environs, experienced varying levels of floods. Now, for some residents here at Glife in the Ablekuma West Municipality of the Greater Accra region, the flood situation has become an annual ritual after every downpour.
Every time it is raining for small, you can see how this situation we're going to pass with because of the gutters. As you can see, this gutter hindered here, it didn't came to this side. So anytime the rain falls, we have these problems at it. If what you can see is small.
If it rains here like this, we suffer. Today like this, people we couldn't go out because we have stuck in the water. The kids didn't go to school because of the rain. We also, me myself, I couldn't come out because there's all the place is watery. We cannot come out.
Many were seen scooping flood waters from their rooms. However, following the unfortunate drowning of 9 school children in a nearby community of Fana, residents here at Glife say they fear their kids could drown in the many stagnant waters in the community.
There are some children around here. If they are going to school, normally they pass this side. They can fall into the water if they are dressed up going to school. Or even if people are selling, they can put their food inside. Even you can even fall into the water if you are going to work or if you are passing.
Ebi wa mu bakra no mu doji we nu kwa no ma tonsonu no ma san so mo chichi esla ban se on be boaye oslanso on be hwe hamaye aha no ye fe abutre janshi nti on bo modin a no be hwe hamaye na nkwala fe mu kosku ye manu nina this said we omu hwe yechi.
We want the authorities to help us as the kids will die among us. So we are begging for the government to come and help us.
Meanwhile, residents say even though they go through these flood challenges anytime it rains, they are unable to push government to come to their aid for fear of losing their properties in demolitions.
As you can see, this demarcation is not all right, complete demarcation. People just building without AMA authority. So yeah, so if they are coming to do such a thing, maybe gutters or roads, at times people's property must be spoiled to do the gutters. That is one authority. That is one issue we are facing in this area.
The only problem we are afraid of now is that, should in case we talk, and government should put in power, automatically some of the buildings over here has to go. They'll be demolished, and then we don't want that. So that's what we are afraid of.
Reporting from Glife here in the Ablekuma West Municipality, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
The latest global terrorism index says the number of terror victims has risen by 2,000% in the past 15 years. And former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, has called on African nations to prioritize the use of data generated here on the continent to tackle terrorism and climate issues. Madam Sirleaf, who spoke at the ongoing Afrobarometer Round 10 planning meeting here in Ghana, emphasized that the war against terrorism and climate change cannot be won without homegrown data.
We also know that other challenges of our fragmented world today will require strong international effort to address the peace and security now threatened by terrorism and a return to military action to achieve political goals. There are still other challenges, such as climate change and emerging transactional risks, such as artificial intelligence. More importantly, perhaps will be the need for global cooperation and action to ensure data promotion and protection in a fast digitizing world, ensure gender equity and justice for people participation, including women and girls. So what can be done to ensure that timely data becomes a reality in Africa? Firstly, greater investment in data infrastructure and capacity building must be made in all of our countries. This includes building the technical and human capacity to collect, manage, and analyze data, and investing in essential tools and techniques. Secondly, there needs to be a greater emphasis on data-driven decision-making. Policymakers and practitioners need to be trained in the use of data, and there needs to be a greater emphasis on evidence-based policymaking.
Now, talking about the need for G20 common framework co-chaired by China and France to fast-track debt restructuring talks involving developing economies, this is what Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf had to say.
19 penetrated every country in the world, even those well-developed, leaving the effect of economic decline and devastation. For many of the lower middle-income countries, this is manifested in a debt crisis that has undermined progress in several countries, which continue to work with institutions such as the G20 and the G7, making cases for the replenishment of the coffers of multilateral development banks through SDR reallocation for capital replenishment.
Yes, we're watching Journey's Prime.